2024 in the country of Ecuador, news came out and said the airline that has the most flights per day, it's actually a drone airline. We were operating this middle mile operations in a city of 3 million people, doing about 150 flights per day in average.
So today is a unique episode. As you can probably see, our first in-person recording. We are here at the Drones and Robotics AI Summit in New York. Beautiful day. We will have a photographer coming in and out. And some of this recording, please forgive the noise issues or background noise if some of that is picked up. It's a busy floor. The door will be opening and closing. And like I mentioned, you probably hear some photography clicks along the way from the photographer. So anyone watching this on YouTube, that is what you're seeing. Anyone just listening to the audio, please give us some grace. This is the first one, and I'm sure we'll be doing a lot more of these in the future. Thanks as always for supporting. So everyone, today is a bit different. We've got 4 companies building across autonomy, robotics, and aerial systems. Instead of going deep on one, we're going to go wide, give you a snapshot of where the industry's headed. First, we've got Flyhound here. Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
So we usually have icebreakers at the beginning of the show. I'm just going to throw one at you and then we'll jump into it. Coffee, tea, or something else? What fuels your mornings?
Coffee now. I will tell you that I for the first time in my life, I started drinking coffee about a year ago.
Oh, wow.
So
recent.
Before that, I'd never had caffeine in the mornings other than maybe the occasional Pepsi.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, wow. What sparked that? The founder journey? Or
No, I don't know. It's just I always disliked the taste of coffee, and then suddenly it just changed.
Okay.
I can't even tell you why, but now I drink coffee in black.
Love that. Yeah, I'm a black coffee guy myself. All right, so give us a 30-second version of what is Flyhound, what you guys doing in the real world.
Great, thank you. So Flyhound builds a attachment or a payload for existing commercial drones that can locate and identify cell phones on the ground or inside buildings. So public safety use cases, missing hiker in the woods, lost conscious, you have your phone on you, we could see you even if there's no service. Natural disasters, evacuation. So if there's a wildfire coming in your community, you've been asked to evacuate. Public safety can fly a drone over the community and tell which houses still have phones inside to help make that faster. Earthquakes after the fact.
Wow.
Be able to determine where there might be victims to find, because generally speaking, our thesis is that your phone is something that you always carry with you.
Yeah.
So the ability to give public safety agencies to find phones can help save lives.
That's genius. Yeah, I was going to say, if you've left your phone, you're probably going to go back and get it, especially in an emergency.
Of course.
Does that work with like new cell-based smartwatches and things like that as well? Or?
It does. We primarily focus on phones, and those what's called IoT devices, things like sensors and things like that. They show up a little bit differently to us, so it helps us identify phone from watch,
Interesting.
and so on and so forth. Very cool.
Very cool. What part of this building this system, this technology, is harder than people would have expected?
For us, it's the RF part of it's always the hard part. I think radio frequency is something that's sometimes a little bit magic.
Yeah.
Same way you buy walkie-talkies in a store that says you want to go camping and it says, oh, this will give you a range of 30 kilometers. It's maybe not. It's maybe 5, and you don't know why. But the terrain, everything from terrain to the network conditions to weather changes how that RF propagates. So that's always been the surprise.
Interesting. Okay, very cool. Manny, sorry, I didn't even introduce you. So could you take a second? You're Manny from Flyhound, and what's your role and how'd you get involved?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the co-founder and CEO. So we started because myself and my co-founder, the CTO, we both come from telecommunications backgrounds. So, for our lives, we've been building the phones and the networks that people use every day to do things like, get on social media, find the news, call their friends and family. We wanted to do something a little bit differently and help really save lives in a unique way.
Amazing. So what do you think happens in this category over the next 3 to 5 years? Does it explode? Does it consolidate? Is it going to be something that's going to be part of like public safety and search and rescue?
We believe that. We believe it'll be more accessible and available to public safety agencies around the globe. This is a technology that sort of has existed in the past, but it's been difficult for agencies to acquire for various reasons. Most of the devices that have been built in the past have been surveillance devices, wiretapping things, which to use for life-saving needs have been sort of an afterthought.
Yeah.
We're democratizing access to that technology, but making it affordable even to small agencies, so that all these agencies that are around the globe can use something that's affordable like drones and our technology to really, go after different use cases that they need.
Interesting. Was there a particular situation or problem that you saw that you and your co-founder thought, hey, we need to build a company around this that no one else is attacking in like an efficient way?
No, I think, my co-founder is a smarter one. He's the PhD. So, he did this more of a research project and said, hey, what can we do with RF? What can we do with drones? How can we look at, and map out cell phones on the ground? And then as we got together and talking about it, we're like, hey, this is something that public safety agencies can really use.
Yeah.
Our initial thesis was really strictly the lost hiker in the woods scenario in areas with no cell service. And then as we started talking with agencies from search and rescue to police to fire, we learned that, there aren't that many places around the globe that don't have cell coverage where people travel to. So they were asking us to help them find people inside of cell coverage, where there's a lot of use cases that they'll need to help find individuals that might actually be in service. So
interesting. And where are you guys based?
We're based in Syracuse, New York, upstate.
Awesome. Well, look, it has been great having you on the show and finding out a little bit more about you guys. I'd love to do a full episode at some point.
Absolutely.
So we'll have to arrange that. But where can our listeners find you guys, follow along for what you're doing, and maybe get involved if they're interested?
Yeah, so our website is flyhound.com. There you can sign up for our newsletter. Also find us on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Okay, great. We'll put those in the show notes and hopefully get you on for a full episode soon.
Great. Would love that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Manny.
Take care.
Sara, thanks for joining me on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, unique one. Obviously, our first in-person episodes. We haven't done them in person before. We're here at the Drones and Robotics AI Summit. Before we get into an introduction, a icebreaker. What is one technology that you can't live without?
That's a tough one, but I think I would have to say airplanes.
Yeah?
Just because I need to travel so much.
Okay.
I think it would have been impossible without them.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's that's a good one. Sara, so you are a founder of Flox Intelligence.
Yes.
Can you tell the audience what you guys are working on? Because I just saw your presentation, your brief overview, super interesting, and I'd love for you to share it and give us some more info.
Yeah, of course. So I think in a nutshell, you can say that we build AI that speaks to wild animals to keep them away from critical infrastructure. So we work with airports or train tracks or highways or industrial sites. So everywhere where you have human-wildlife conflicts and you need to keep animals safe and operations running, that's where we come into place. So we are a team of both wildlife scientists and AI engineers, and that's kind of how we merge those two fields to really decode wild animal communication and use it for good.
Wow. I haven't seen anyone else doing this. That's very, very interesting. Is this kind of replacing human decision making or augmenting it or like helping?
Yeah, so right now, when we work, for example, with airports, we are an additional tool in their toolbox. Right now, they use a lot of pyrotechnics or
Really?
gas cannons or a lot of
Wow.
like old-fashioned stuff. But of course, in the future, the more sensors we can actually deploy alongside maybe fence perimeters or different hotspots, the more we are able to actually do all the things that humans are doing as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't know that those were the techniques they were using already.
Yes, or we have a virtual, you have electrical fences, different barriers, but a lot of just hunting, I would say as well. Yeah.
Wow. Is there? I mean, obviously AI is all the rage right now, and then there's a lot that isn't being deployed and utilized in the real world. Where do you think AI falls short for real world applications at the moment?
I would say kind of everything when it comes to the physical AI. There's a lot of things happening right now, but it has been, I think, harder for founders in that space, just because if you have a hardware component, it's harder to get funding. It's much harder to go from prototype to large scale production. So I think just that in general.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so you just relocated your headquarters, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and closed your round, so congrats. So where are you headquartered right now?
In Syracuse, New York.
Nice.
So I founded the company out of AI Research Lab at KTH, which is the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm, Sweden. It was 5 years ago, so wow, time flies.
Wow.
We do have our R&D team still in Stockholm,
Okay.
But I am building the commercial team from Syracuse now.
Nice, nice. And where did this idea come from? Like, what was it that sparked your interest or drive to actually create a business around this?
Yeah, so I was working in different commercial roles within transportation in Sweden. So I saw firsthand kind of all the human-wildlife conflicts, all those headlines, also about collisions with, a moose gets hit by a train. So like those things happen every day. So I started to look into what are the solutions today, and there weren't any really good solutions. So that's how I started with the idea, but it has been a lot of pivoting.
Yeah.
So the first initial idea was to have our technology just being able to detect animals and speak to them in any way, kind of trying to keep them away from especially like areas where you have different human and wildlife conflicts. But the first thing was also drones. So having our technology on drones. But that was 5 years ago. And I would say the drone market has not been evolving at a pace where I would like it to go.
Yeah.
So we pivoted to stationary devices. So we have built our first product that is called Edge, and it's really a stationary unit where the intelligence is inside the unit on the edge, and you can place them everywhere. So it has been a lot of pivoting. And just the core of decoding wild animal communication is something that started about 2 or 3 years ago. So it's quite a new field. In the beginning, when I kind of started to look into this and started to work with different leading wildlife biologists and so on, everyone thought it was kind of a sci-fi.
Yeah.
But now, kind of with all the advances with AI, we can see patterns in vocalizations that we have not been able to see before. So it's really great momentum for this technology.
It does sound like science fiction. I'm thinking about Wild Robot, the movie, or Hoppers, these two animated movies that came out recently. So it's giving me kind of that vibe. How do you balance the speed of development and obviously, being born from like research institutes and stuff like that? How do you balance all of that with like real world development and deployment?
It's been a journey. So for the first 4.5 years, we've been really working on just getting the receipts right, making sure it works. A lot of different scientific studies. So far, we have deterred about 60,000 animals from critical infrastructure.
60,000.
Yeah, but it's been a lot of prototypes. So the first thing was to sign paid pilots with like the Swedish Transport Administration or different mining companies in Sweden, airports in Sweden, and we really used Sweden as a country as our kind of test bed, I would say, to validate the technology. But I have also seen that in order for us to really fulfill the mission and grow at a pace that we would like to, we need to relocate. So a lot of our customers today are here either in the US or in Canada.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, so much land, so many wildlife, so many national forests and parks and things like that. And even, where I live, there's risk of hitting deer on my way to my home, and it's a freeway right there. So, well, look, this has been super interesting. Thank you for sharing. And I'm very excited to see what you guys do. Where can the listeners find you and follow along for everything you're doing?
Yeah, you can find us at fluxintelligence.com.
Okay.
We are quite active on LinkedIn as well. You can find us at Flux Intelligence. Or you can also email me at Sara at fluxintelligence.com.
Perfect. Well, we'll put those links in the show notes and hopefully we'll get you on for a full episode soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Santiago, thank you for joining me today on our first in-person episode. So it's great. Before we jump in, if you could fast forward 10 years and see one impact that your work's made on the world, what would you want that to be?
Wow. All right. So I would say it's the reason why my co-founders and myself built the company is we wanted to create something that really transformed people's lives and have that story we could tell our grandkids. So I see myself in 10 years, like having already constructed that story.
Amazing. Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. Well, you are co-founder, founder, CEO of Aerialoop. Can you take a moment and share with us what Aerialoop is doing and where the company is located?
All right. So we are actually a company that was born in the US, but we had two hypotheses in this drone delivery spectrum. And the first one was we wanted to take our engineering and company to Latin America, thinking we could accelerate and speed up the process of development and bring it into market. And the second hypothesis was that we were going to focus in middle mile. We saw a lot of companies working the last mile sector, and we saw a big opportunity in the middle mile.
Nice, nice.
And that's what we're in right now. So we basically develop a full stack technology solution that basically using drones. We have these two verticals today where we operate, middle mile logistics.
Interesting. And from a hypothesis and also background standpoint, what was it that made you guys want to go into this space? And was it like a problem that you'd seen firsthand? Do you come from the logistics space?
So actually, I like to say that this is a company that even though it's 5 years old, it's actually been 25 years in the making. One of the co-founders and myself, we met each other during our aerospace engineering degree. We did a thesis on drones. We worked with the U.S. military to develop a drone for them. And then when I did my master's degree, also about 23 years ago, my thesis was drone technologies for Latin American markets. So we've been working on this, and I can go as long as you want telling the story of the co-founders, but it's basically that experience what brought us to believing in this technology and these hypotheses.
Interesting. So 5-year-old company, 25 years in the making. So you've probably seen a lot since your original hypothesis and founding it.
Definitely. Well, I've seen a lot, and I've seen stuff go also slower than I thought.
Yeah.
So I've been on the sidelines, and now being a player in the field, I can definitely see, how these things are going.
For sure.
Yeah, very excited to see all the changes that are happening lately.
Yeah, there's a ton, and it's great. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of incentives from the government. There's a lot of even general population and publics. What's the word that I'm looking for? Their thoughts on adopting technology as well, and being okay with drone deliveries.
Public acceptance is still an interesting issue.
Yeah,
like just to tell you a side story, we were actually the first commercial airline to be certified on drone operations in Latin America.
Oh, really? Wow.
We certified as an airline. We not only have aircraft, but we had flight management systems, safety management systems. We had all the processes a regular airline has. Actually, 2024, in the country of Ecuador, the news came out and said, the airline that has the most flights per day, it's actually a drone airline. Because we were operating this middle mile operations in a city of 3 million people. BVLOS doing about 150 flights per day in average. And having all that experience was very, very very interesting for us. Yeah,
having an airline and doing that, so 150 flights a day. I mean, I might just be naive and not know, but also for the listeners who don't know, when you're doing middle mile logistics, what sort of things are you moving? Is it like individual?
So we were moving everything you can think of. So imagine what we created was, I like to explain it as a metro system in the sky. When you look at any metro system in a major city, you have these stations that are strategically located on high dense areas. You pretty much can get closer to anywhere. So we did the same thing in Quito. Quito, Ecuador is a city of 3 million people. We located 5 hubs or airports, and we were moving food with Rappi, which is the major food delivery platform in the region. We were moving parcels with Servientrega, who's the major, it's like the UPS of LATAM. We were moving a pharmacy. We were working with the largest pharmacy providers. We were working with hospitals to move medical samples. That we actually had one of our airports at a hospital. So, but it was public. So we were moving everything.
Amazing. Wow. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think of like seeing that in an urban area must be pretty wild for the residents.
It's an amazing experience. Like we used to bring many people to visit our operations, and we used to have these meetings at the hospital backyard. And while we were talking, like these 15 minutes that we having conversation here, you would have seen at least 3 aircraft land and 3 take off, and you were right next to a highway and in buildings and all that stuff. And it's just amazing. Also, when you think of the size of our aircraft. Yeah. So our aircraft is about 2.5 meters by 2 meters.
Oh, wow.
So it's an interesting view.
Yeah, they are big. Wow. I'm curious, obviously you've scaled something like that in Latin America. You've seen it go from like infancy to 150 flights a day. That's pretty wild. When you first scale technology or even like a system like this, what's the first thing that breaks? What do you have to like overcome?
That's an interesting question. So I'm going to back up a little bit. So we started with these delivery networks, but then we did a shift though. And our shift was the same network automated technology that we had deployed could serve a purpose for long distance infrastructure inspection. So we went into our dual use type of sector. And in this sector, we had massive growth. We reached break even financially. We did all this stuff. And there we started having this understanding what could break. So not only aircraft oriented, what could break operationally from the company. Like we were an R&D company doing our own tests and our own operations. Well, now you have service. You have third party operating your drone and doing all this stuff. So the first thing that started breaking is like, whoa, how do we provide service, maintenance? So you just have to learn. Also manufacturing rate and capability. We were building a drone every 2 months. All of a sudden you need to build 6. How do you do that? You have to implement quality oriented, process driven processes. So internal things broke. And then once we started expanding, we started seeing now our flight operation KPIs. So last year we realized we were like 25 incidents per 1,000 flights. When you look at aircraft industry, you should be hopefully between 1 and 5. So there's a lot of things and a lot of knowledge that it's like a little kid growing. There's a different thing to tackle every day. So now we're working on robustness, on how confident our drone is, how things like training. How robust is our training program for third-party operators?
Yeah, that's super interesting. I mean, that's a very good example and real-world example of like real-world deployment feedback is the only way that you can do it and build something that's going to be robust, that's going to be commercially viable, and that can scale. Otherwise, you see a lot of companies that build in a vacuum, or they're super stealth and don't speak to anyone, or maybe 1 or 2 customers until they want to have a big reveal and raise loads of money, and then that's the hurdle that they fall down on when it's actually like commercial deployment and trying to be, a scaled company.
I have an advice to them. It's kind of like fundraising. You always are shooting for finding the right strategic partner. The same thing happens with customers. If you find the right customer, the one that is willing to go all the way with you and learn, because at the beginning you have this R&D product that in paper, in design, does these amazing things, but from R&D to real world quality is a whole different world. So we've managed to find very key strategic customer partners is what I call them. So we're growing together. And when we have these challenges or opportunities, we tackle them together, and it's making us both stronger.
Yeah. We've heard today at the conference as well about, airspace navigation and different types of parts, because you're obviously one part of the system here, right? For something like this to be truly global, what needs to happen? Like, what needs to be put in place? Who needs to be on board? What changes need to be made?
My answer, and I think you probably get different answers, but my answer is the right balance between the companies like ours and the regulator. One of the key things we did early stages of the company was we went and understood the regulatory environment everywhere. That's obviously it's a roadblock. Investors think this is something that it's hard. But the places or the countries we were able to successfully deploy and advance were the countries where the regulator was willing to cooperate and grow as we grew. I think that was key. Give you an example.
Yeah.
Ecuador came in and we told them about an idea. They did not have a regulatory framework, but instead of doing what other countries did of saying, wait until I have this, say, let's work together. Let me give you a little bit of space.
Yeah.
And you give me data. And then I will build my regulatory environment as you're building your operation concepts. So we went from a small operation to creating, I think, one of the only networks or metro systems in the sky you see today by working together with them.
That's amazing. It's always been an issue in the US, stuff like that, the regulation. And obviously each state is different as well. So as soon as you want to do something that crosses a state line, or if you have your headquarters in one place, and then, like over the last, 10, 15 years, it's been, Nevada's like, oh, come and build here. We'll give you, some favorable incentives and again, regulatory frameworks or Texas and stuff like that. How do we get over that in the US, do you think?
I don't know. I think the same thing that happens in the US happens in the region in South America. It's crossing borders.
Yeah.
One thing that I see not only with the states themselves, I even see it with programs. You're talking about these incentives that are usually managed by, you have Genius New York in New York, you have New Lab pushing stuff in Detroit. You have all these different players. And I think the first step, and I've personally said this to many of them, is like, don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Don't try. I mean, you guys, why don't you all partner together? You have different strengths and weaknesses and start collaborating. But it is a hard thing to do, especially cross borders.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I wish you guys the best of luck. It's super, super interesting, super impactful work. And sounds like you guys are pretty far ahead as well. Where can our listeners find out more about you and follow along for everything that you're doing? So
you can check us out on our website, www.aerialoop.com, or you can search me on LinkedIn and reach out.
Perfect. We'll link those in the show notes as well, and hopefully get you on for a full episode and we can dive a little bit deeper.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Justin, thanks for joining me on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Quick icebreaker. When you were a kid, what did you think you'd be when you grew up?
An X-Wing pilot.
Yeah? Where did that come from?
Star Wars.
Okay.
Awesome. And then Top Gun.
Yeah.
Top Gun too.
Great.
That was a huge influence.
Great film.
Yes.
So Justin, you are co-founder and CEO. If you could take a moment and give us a brief overview on Modovolo, what you guys are tackling and what the company does.
Yeah. So what we do is it's really capability of building drones and other products that have a way higher performance envelope compared to a competitor product, but radically reducing the cost at the same time. So that's our engineering and design ethos and principle.
Interesting. And where did this idea come from that you and your co-founder thought we need to build a business around this?
So my co-founder is the brains of the operation. So he is a retired Air Force C-130 pilot, aerospace engineer with a master's in control systems. So major geek.
Yeah.
Right? So he retires from the Air Force and becomes a drone test pilot. And, he and I are friends. And he's like, these things are just horrible. They're super expensive. They can't fly for very long. What do you do with a payload? And that was it. We started working in his garage and nights and weekends, and mostly him. But building, crashing, iterating, failing, sometimes succeeding. And then we, in the summer of 2024, I said, we need to we need to see if people are interested in what we're doing.
Yeah.
At some point, like we need to take the wraps off and find out if people are interested in this. And the response was insane.
Really?
Yeah, within 2 weeks, we had a major defense contractor like talking to us about investing, and we're like, "Whoa,
Wow, wow,
chill."
Give us a moment.
Yeah, give us a moment. So we developed a good relationship with those guys and other potential investors, and just I don't know, 5 or 6 months ago we did a seed round. So fortunately I have a background where I could fund a lot of what we were doing prior to that, but we were able to like raise twice the amount that we were intending, just because there's just so much interest in people wanting to engage with us. So that was very exciting that we saw, product market fit and investor product fit, I guess you could call it.
Yeah,
very early. So I've been with other startups as an executive, so I knew that was special, that what we had there was kind of unique.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's so unique from a timing standpoint as well, right? Because sometimes the technology is there and the customers are kind of interested, and investors are like, well, there's not a big enough TAM, or it's too long of a time horizon to see a return or anything like that. So
well, the other tech startups that I was involved in, we had to like literally beat customers over the head to like convince them that they needed the product.
Really?
And they did need the product, but it was just an adoption problem.
Yeah.
So I am more used to situations where you really have to prove the ROI, like build use cases and, all these things to convince them to bring it into their workflow. So when you have someone coming saying, like, I want that, it was kind of a new experience for me.
Yeah, I bet. You're like, what do I do with this interest?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, this is weird.
Yeah.
It feels weird.
Why do you think now is the right time for a company like this and a use case like this?
I think if you look at the problems that particularly we are going to play in every vertical. Obviously, the military space right now is super interesting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in some ways that it's interesting, but and we were actually never intending on getting into the military space, and we were encouraged to like rethink that. And when you talk with military customers, I can't tell you which ones, but like, they will tell you stories of, hey, this vendor, their drone costs $80,000 and there's a service contract and they won't let me have access to my data on it.
Oh, wow.
I can't build a payload for it. Like, I have to use them as the engineering firm. And it's just absurd.
Yeah. Very limiting.
Yeah. I mean, people are thinking about their business models first and the customer second. Not a good policy, I don't think.
No. Yeah. There's so many examples of companies that have fallen down doing it that way, right? If you're not customer centric and thinking about what they need and how they're going to use it and adopt it, just bad start.
Yeah. I think it's like short-term thinking over long-term value. And so those things are the things that my co-founder saw when he was this drone test pilot, that if you are going to have mass adoption, you need to figure out how to lower the cost, but still maintain that performance envelope. And so our focus on the payload. So if you think about the drone is really just the payload delivery device, and that's what the end customer cares about, is what's going on in that payload.
Yeah.
And so enabling the customer to build their own payloads.
I'm just going to close this door while you carry on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Develop their own payloads and innovate there is a huge differentiator. And so we're going all in on that.
Amazing. How do you guys think about like safety and regulation in a field like this? Is it pretty complex to navigate?
It is because the rules of the road are still being written.
Mm.
So you'll get several different answers depending on the use case. And, the approach that we're taking is probably more on the conservative side.
Yeah.
And not going after use cases where there is a safety risk envelope that we're not comfortable with. And so obviously the military is more concerned about its effectiveness in the hands of a warfighter, and less about its safety, because you're trying to literally make it unsafe in that environment. That's a little bit tongue in cheek, but there are other use cases that we're going after with public safety departments and agricultural customers where that safety envelope isn't that big of a concern. So like there are 2 counties in Florida that we are working with to do water, what is it called? Dropping life jackets. They're these little tiny things that then blow up, like inflate when they hit the water. And the risk for them is that they don't want to put an $80,000 drone over the water. It's, usually when there is a person drowning, there's other weather events going on. So you need a drone that can cut through the wind, the weather, but also at the end of the day, you might not care if it crashes because it's not $80,000. It's $10,000 to $11,000.
Right.
And so those are the use cases that we are selling into now. And so I think the long-term play, I don't think we're unique here, is obviously BB loss missions and delivery and those pieces. But I think those are for everyone. They're going to be long tail.
Yeah.
Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in the space as a whole, and as costs come down, technology improves, like these things it's more feasible. It goes from, hey, this is something interesting to this is something that's inevitable, and who's going to do it and when are we going to do it and see it?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, it's great having you on. I know this is short and sweet. Where can our listeners find you guys and maybe reach out if they're interested in getting involved?
You can drop by our garage in downtown Vernon, New York.
Nice.
This is a more cows than people location. And of course, Modovolo.com.
Okay, well, we will put that in the show notes, and hopefully we'll get you on for a longer, full episode as well, maybe with your co-founder.
Well, I would love that.
Yeah, perfect.